that's a tremendous looking trophy.
Hello and welcome to Hyrule Podcast, number one Zelda fan cast in the Oceanias. My name's Dylan Blunt. Joining me this week on the couch, Ashley Hobley.
Hey, Dylan, I think I'm on the wrong podcast. Let me just leave this studio and I'll be sure to join Platinum Explosion, number one PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias, where we're all celebrating that Xbox have confirmed they're never going to be to PlayStation.
It's a weird week. It's a weird time for PlayStation, I honestly feel, because either the news is all Xbox in a negative way, or Zelda's coming out. PlayStation's just like in the middle of, with nothing.
Just kind
really
of, yeah. It's almost like all the attention's away from them, so they could like deliver some bad news this week.
Yes, they did. Well, they did shut down studio, which we'll talk about in a second. But my short thoughts on that are, apart from a few people I know, like tweeting about it, being like, "This sucks." That wasn't a shutdown that the normie gamers were gonna freak out about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was the thing. Anyway, we don't have much to talk about. Hence my joke. Also, Zelda's out this week, not PlayStation. Also, everyone hates Xbox at the moment, and PlayStation's coasting.
Well,
along,
yeah.
which
If you
could
didn't
be
know,
worse.
Redfall came out and was not good. But yeah, I've seen some other places discuss, like, should PlayStation be concerned about they've got a bunch of like live service games in the works.
Yeah.
Should they be concerned with the reaction to Redfall? Like,
No, because
are players actually still clamoring for live service games?
When done well, yes. Because
Well, what was the last one that did well?
fuck if I know. The Division people still play, right?
That's true. Once you get them in, they play it forever. But
Once you
like,
get someone, yeah.
There's far more titles that have died on the vine than there have been successes. So
Redfall was never marketed as a
it was
live service. It was marketed as a co-op game.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe that's better framing.
Yeah. Which is the difference.
Maybe it's just multiplayer games in general. What was the last one that really captured the internet or the gaming audience? You know,
multiplayer. New.
Yeah.
I was about to say not a sequel. Psychology.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Overcooked.
Even that, you can play single player.
Yeah, but it's pretty boring.
So I've heard.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about a couple news stories I got this week. Firstly, so break this down in two parts. I'll do the end before the start. So PlayStation blog has this story up. Get a peek as to what Peter Parker, Miles Morales, and MJ Watson have been doing since the events of Marvel Spider-Man and Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. So talk a little bit about this comic book that came out on Free Comic Book Day, which I'll loop back to in a second. But also in the same news post, they did finally announce that, so they write here, on May 4th, Marvel Spider-Man Remastered will become available for a standalone purchase on PlayStation Store. The title was previously only included as part of the Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales Ultimate Edition. On top of that, when the game becomes available, there will be an upgrade program for owners of the original Marvel Spider-Man on PS4 console, where if you have the disc or digital copy of the PS4 game, you'll be able to upgrade to remaster on PS5 console for $10. I honestly completely forgot that this still wasn't available for people to purchase separately. Did you?
Yeah, but also I don't think anybody cared because everybody bought Miles Morales. You know what I mean?
We had to buy the Ultimate Edition, not just Miles Morales. So,
no, okay. Wasn't the Ultimate Edition the only version?
No, they had a normal version. It was more expensive. The Ultimate Edition costs more, but it came like a little bit more, but it came with the remaster game. And then they stopped putting out the Ultimate Edition after the first, like that wave there, and then it was just Miles Morales digital. I think.
I honestly can't remember.
Did you get the Ultimate Edition?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you didn't, and you want to play through it, I guess, before the release of Spider-Man 2, $10 upgrade if you're going to the game digitally or physically. So there's that. All right, I'll loop back to the other part. So this comic book came out on Free Comic Book Day. It just says Marvel Spider-Man 2 #1. I think there's only going to be one because I read the comic book and at the end it says the story is to be continued in Marvel Spider-Man 2. I'm like, okay, so there's just a one comic book thing. Did you know about this? Did you flick through this at all? Or?
I knew the comic was coming. That was about it.
Yep. So sometimes these Free Comic Book Day tie-in things they do for movies and games and TV shows and what have you. Some of them are usually, well, actually no, I'll say usually 90% of the time I don't think they're very good and they're very just sort of cash in, like here's the thing, like move on. I actually thought this one was pretty good. So I'm going to just spoil it and go over what's covered in here. So if you care, I guess skip ahead, but I don't think most people care. But so the comic starts with, where are the characters? So it's obviously sometime after Miles Morales, the game. It doesn't really matter how long it's been, but it's sometime. It starts with MJ back in New York. She's doing an interview with J. Jonah, and she's just released a book covering everything she went and looked into with the war in I can't remember because it's a fictional country, but that war she went to cover at the end of the first game. You know, how she was going on a little journalist trip there. So she's wrote a book about it, and J. Jonah Jameson's given a shit because the book's not selling well, and Jonah's like, you got to add some sex appeal and stuff like this to get people to want to buy it, and all this typical J. Jonah bullshit. And then so later on in it, very much. So I can't remember who they're fighting at the start, but Miles and Peter are like fighting some bad guy at the start of the comic book, who they capture very quickly, and they have a few jokes about. Like there's this one panel that they have in the blog post here where they both the Spider-Man shoot the web in the same direction at the same time, and then Miles is like, Peter's like, I thought you always went left, and then Miles says, I almost got killed going left against the Tinkerer, and it does that whole like, as seen in Miles Morales game, that typical sort of thing. But it's very much the game, at least the comic book very much implies that like they're not like doing solo Spider-Man stuff. It just seems they constantly, when they go on patrol, it's just Miles and Peter are always together. Yeah, like they're not split up. They're just always together now. After this, they begin talking about like where Miles is getting ready for college or whatever. I think it's college. Like America would be college. That's where he's going. I think is the thing. Like what Peter's now out of. Yeah, he's like and he's like talking about what degrees he wants to study, and he's saying like obviously he's like talking about how he wanted to do a technology thing because he's he makes all the gadgets and stuff like that. But then he was saying about how he wants to get into making music and stuff like that. It's following sort of the basis of the characters that from the different versions of the comic book. At the end of the story in this comic book, Miles discovers that there's a course for music technology, which he says he's going to take because it's the best of both worlds. He gets to do music and technology at the same time. Peter's living in Aunt May's house now by himself, and there's a conversation between him and MJ about money and how he's like trying to finish his teacher's degree course so he can become a teacher, not a photographer, to get money that way, but it's not like coming along fast enough, and they're sort of like he's struggling with money, and she sort of implies about asking about selling the house, but he says he doesn't do that because it's the only thing he's got left that reminds him of his aunt and uncle, obviously. She says a line about, have you ever thought about getting someone else to come live with you? And he's like, yeah, like, how about you? But she says no because she still wants to live in the city, and it sort of upsets Peter and becomes this thing throughout the comic book where he's like, they're not really talking about it, but not like talking about it, but not really talking about it. By the way, if this sounds like a lot, it was actually a lot longer. Like it wasn't a very short issue. There's also a lot of text in this. There's not just action. So I was surprised. What else was the cool thing? So then the main villain was in this comic book, they introduced the Hood is the villain. I don't know if it means that the Hood's going to come back, or it's just like, no, let's just use them or whatever. Yeah. But the Hood used within the confines of this story to set up where these characters are, I did feel like was a good use. So it's got all these people like stealing jewels and stuff like that because of he needs it for money, and all these people are like believing that the Hood can really do magic and all this sort of stuff. And then Peter and Miles track him down, and then they find out that he'd like purchased this artifact, the tablet, which he believes will be able to cure his mother who's got cancer. And then when Miles and Peter confront him in the hospital at the end, he says, no, just let me use this and then I'll let you use the tablet. Surely there'd be someone you want to bring back to life. And they have like a cool illustration of like Peter and Miles both with like his dad and then like Aunt May like behind him, like of course picturing the people they would like to bring back to life sort of thing. But it ends with them just they tell the cops not to charge into the room, and they let him have the Hood have a moment with his mother as she passes away, which was nice. And then these cops are like, you aren't the commissioner, you can't tell us what to do. And then Peter's like, hey, didn't I like save your life? And then Miles is like, remember when I like pulled you out of the car when the rhino was going to kill you? Like, how about you let me do like, let me do what you want, sort of thing. And then at the end of it, they did this whole thing where J. Jonah Jameson has just sold or made a deal to move to like upper New York to like, I don't know, it's implied like teach journalism or something. He has a line about, I'll show these young kids what real journalism's like or something like that. And then that's sort of where it ends. But yeah, I thought it was really, really good. And obviously if you're looking forward to, even though I just told you everything, I would still say that you, Ash, and then anyone else listening who is looking forward to the game should definitely flick through this comic book. You can either, if you missed it, you could have got it for free at your local comic book store on Free Comic Book Day, or you can sign up through the Marvel Unlimited app, of course, or just get your week free activation or whatever it is and read it that way for free as well. Do you like the sound of all that? Are you going to read this now?
Yeah, I might probably give it a read.
You like Spider-Man, I heard?
I like Spider-Mans.
Yeah. Sort of thing, so.
Yeah,
it was cool. It was a nice little setup. It was written by one of the writers of the game too, so it's not like a
Christoph Gage, I want to say off the top of my head.
I think that was it. Yeah. So it's like ties in, which was nice. So, but yeah, it also just made me feel more with this reading the comic, and right at the end it has that page of like coming this whatever it says America summer or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know, but yeah,
coming this fall.
So, but yeah, we just must be getting very close to what's the rumor? July, August, or something like that? I don't know. I can't remember.
The rumor of what?
For Spider-Man. I thought there was a rumor kicking around for like a release date.
I thought it was like September.
Okay. Oh, that's 2 ages away.
We'll find out. Yeah.
We'll find out potentially soon.
At a certain event, maybe.
Certain event, yeah. All right. We'll talk about a certain event in a moment because I just want to mix up the good stories and put the bad story in the middle and then not end the show on a bad story. So, GamesIndustry.Biz writes here, Sony shutting down PixelOpus. So Sony's shutting down PixelOpus. The studio announced on its Twitter account Friday, quote, "Dear friends, our PixelOpus adventure has come to an end. As we look to new futures, we want to say a heartfelt thank you to the millions of passionate players who have supported us and our mission to make beautiful, imaginative games with heart," end quote. The San Mateo-based PixelOpus arrived on the scene at E3 2014 with a surprise announcement release of its first game, Entwined, for the PS4. This year's second and final game was 2019's Concrete Genie, about a bullied young boy who discovers the ability to bring his paintings to life. The game was nominated for 2 DICE Awards and 2 BAFTAs. Quote, PlayStation Studios regularly evaluates its portfolio and the status of studio projects to ensure they meet the organization's short and long-term strategic objectives, end quote, a PlayStation representative told IGN. And they continued with, quote, "As part of our recent review progress, it has been decided that PixelOpus will close on June 2nd, end quote." What do you make of this news? It was a weird one to wake up to.
Yeah, it was kind of out of nowhere and unexpected, especially with Sony kind of buying up a bunch of unproven studios that they would decide to can a studio that released one of that year's best games in Concrete Genie, that had a really good solid launch title in entwined for the PS4, I want to say.
Yeah, PS4.
I don't know if it was a launch game, but it was a big shadow drop at one of the E3
It was Shadow
conferences.
Drop.
I'm pretty
That's
sure.
what they. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's very disappointing for the studio, for all the people working there. I'm just super intrigued as to what they were working on, because obviously the big thing was they were working on a project in partnership with Sony Pictures at Sony Animation.
Yeah, that was the
thing.
That was the thing.
So what were they working
on?
Was it a property, or was it something original? Are we still going to get some sort of movie thing out of it? Why didn't it work? Is it something that has already been announced?
Well, it was like,
I don't know.
I was hoping it was like going to be a Sly Cooper or something. I don't know, but
Well, no, I don't think that was going to happen. They said several times that there's no Sly Cooper thing in the works.
yeah, no, I just kept up my hopes. But yeah, it was very weird. I think they only had a team of like 20 people, so they were still small, even amongst everything else.
Yeah.
And that's obviously in part of why their games were so spread out.
Yeah.
Like only 2 games, but yeah, obviously I really, really liked Concrete Genie. So disappointing.
I think it was Explosion MX First 10. From memory.
Might have been,
First
yeah.
10.
Might have been. Could have been. Yeah. So I don't know. Go play Concrete Genie if you haven't. I thought it was really good. I know some people complained about the pacing or whatever, but I don't know. Those opinions are wrong. So that's how I feel about that. Final story for this week. Rumored PlayStation Showcase release date window reportedly revealed comes from PlayStationLifestyle.net. Insider Jeff Grubb has previously said that Sony's rumored PlayStation Showcase could arrive in May. He's now narrowed that window down even more. And on a specific release date, Grubb noted that's currently set to premiere the week of May 25th. So he tweeted out this thing this morning as of recording, basically overnight. So his current Summer Games mess, as he calls it every year, is week of May 25th for PlayStation Showcase, going into I might as well just read the rest. June 7th, Tribeca Festival's happening. June 8th, Summer Game Fest. June 9th to 10th, Keely's Days of Play. June 11th, Xbox Bethesda Showcase. June 11th, Starfield Direct. June 12th, Ubisoft Forward. June 25th, Summer Games Concert. June 27th to 29th, GDC Showcase. July 20th to 23rd, San Diego Comic Con. August 10th to 13th, QuakeCon. August 11th, THQ Nordic Showcase. August 23rd to 27th, Gamescom. September, Nintendo Live. September, PAX West. September 24th, 27th, Tokyo Game Show. October, I'll add in here, PAX Australia. And then December 8th, the Game Awards. So we're about to reach that point of the year where June to August is pretty packed, and then things are still at least happening every month for the rest of the year. So it's like the first half of the year is like pretty slow, and then we reach a point where there's just shit happening all the time.
That list doesn't include all the the indie.
Yeah, that doesn't even include
stuff.
all the indie ones. So there's just a bunch of stuff happening. But how do you feel about this? I mean, Jeff, I said I wouldn't talk about these rumors unless it was from someone I could put a little bit of faith into, which I would for Jeff Grubb. So how do you feel about this May 25th PlayStation Showcase, the week of? That would be 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, I think that would be good. It's been long rumored that they're going to have a big showcase that will blow your balls off. And it makes sense to do it before Summer Games Fest, I guess. Lead into everything so that everything that comes after is kind of compared to it. Set the benchmark and see if everybody can live up to the standards. Especially if you're super confident that you have a fantastic showcase, go first and let's see if anybody can compete.
Yeah. The current rumor is also that Sony has strucken a exclusivity deal with Konami for Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater remake, some Silent Hill games, Castlevania games, Silent Hill 2 remake, etc., etc., etc.
As someone obviously not into Metal Gear, why start at 3?
It's one of the most well-liked ones. It's a prequel. It's set before both 1 and 2. So, you could play it. It could be made in a way that, like there's there's obviously that whole referential, you understand events from that game mentioned elsewhere sort of thing, but you play as Big Boss in that one, not Solid Snake.
No.
So now we get into the confusing line of there's like 14 different snakes.
Yes.
is the thing. But no, Snake Eater is probably one of the most popular, well-liked ones. It's set during the 70s. Yes, I think. And yeah, you play as Big Boss, and some of the most talked about boss fights and stuff and elements and stuff from it. So I don't know. You could technically remake the first, but I feel like there's a lot more work there, because it's a asymmetrical sort of most of the time, and then I don't know, obviously a lot more groundwork to be done there. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all of that stuff with the Konami deal is definitely true. There's just too many people talking about it. I've seen like multiple, not even like leakers talk about, just straight up journalists be like, yeah, I've heard the same from sources and this seems to be true. So I think all of this is going to get announced at some stage. Would it be a big deal? Maybe not to someone like you who's like, I don't know Metal Gear Solid, but yeah, Metal Gear Solid remake would blow people's socks off. Silent Hill being exclusive to PlayStation would be massive as well for horror fans, and obviously that's a big nostalgic franchise. And if a Castlevania game's exclusive as well, that'll be pretty big too. Just depends on what type it is, I guess. If it's one of those like actual third-person ones and not like a side-scroll, you know what I mean? Like there's some people who just play the side-scrolling ones, and every time they've attempted to make I think like they made those like Castlevania Lords of Shadow or whatever, any of those like action games, people didn't really like those ones. So will be interesting. And I would also expect, I guess, I don't know, what would you expect? I would expect Spider-Man official release date.
Oh, absolutely. That isn't the big closer, I guess.
No, that like opens
like
surely or something like that. Yeah,
because it's the known quantity.
Yeah.
Or you close the show and like pre-orders open now. Like it's
out now.
Can you imagine? It's like nobody's going to watch any of these other things. It's going to be too busy playing Spider-Man.
So yeah, Spider-Man with a exact release date and another trailer. Obviously, trailer would showcase Venom more, probably some gameplay. They would do a full Spider-Man state of play ahead of the release date with probably like a 15-minute full gameplay sequence though. I would then expect some Final Fantasy, but they also just did a bunch of like gameplay was released and then in that state of play, and they did the preview, so it would probably just be another trailer. I don't know what else. What else would there be? What's there like?
Last of Us Factions.
Last of Us Faction.
Just give it
like something. A date or like a rough.
Just give us an idea of what the actual game is. I guess if they're talking about it being a co-op experience and that kind of stuff, on top of the hopeful multiplayer elements, just like give all those people, those crazy people playing Last of Us Factions right now on their PS4s,
PS3s,
their PS3s, some sort of hope. Yeah. And then you just let us know what's happening with Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, Tsushima too.
And then I'm sure there's a bunch of titles from the last showcase or standard players that you could follow up on. Like what Little Devil Inside? Just confirm that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What's the Astro Primal something?
Yeah, the Bandai Namco one.
Yeah,
the Capcom.
That one.
No, Capcom. Whatever it is. Yeah.
That one. I'm sure there'll be a teaser trailer for Final Fantasy. That would,
Yeah, that's why I just said Final Fantasy. Or do you mean not the remake or the I mean 16 is what I was talking about.
7.
Oh, 7.
That's coming this winter, right? American winter.
Yeah. So I guess that comes out what?
It comes out in the next 8 months.
Yeah. So is Final Fantasy July or June?
I want to say June.
June. So Final Fantasy's next month. And then
crazy.
I guess Final Fantasy remake, if they commit to this and they don't delay it, or they're like, no one remembers us saying that. That would be what? November, like a month or two
Well,
after.
it could be
October,
December.
No, December.
Probably. I suspect it's probably January next year.
Yeah, we'll see about this. Yeah.
Although, Forspoken did so fantastically in that period, maybe they'll push it.
Yeah. Forspoken DLC?
That's true.
I wonder if
Isn't
they'll
that
promote
out
that
now or very soon?
Very soon. I actually can't remember the date. Do I have it on my calendar here? I think I did somewhere. Can I see it? It's out on the 26th, so it would be the day after, it would be the day after the potential day of this. So maybe if PlayStation wants to be friends with Square Enix and help promote DLC for it. But yeah, I don't know.
At least a trailer, at the very least.
If this is going to happen, here's how it goes. You don't hear anything next week, and then it's Tuesday morning, so the 23rd, they'll announce it if it's going to happen.
No, Wednesday morning.
Well, no, because it would be our Friday. It's American. American Thursday would be our Friday. So usually they still, you know what I mean?
Still, it'll be Wednesday.
Yeah.
Or it'll be Tuesday night, our time.
Yeah. But they definitely aren't going to announce it next week. They never give you that much of a heads up. So hopefully they'll do something though, because if we get past that and we get close, as soon as we enter June and like we're coming up to Summer Games Fest and Xbox and all that stuff, I'm like, nah. Once we're in June, we're out. I don't expect PlayStation to announce anything in the middle of all that.
Be part of that.
No.
Yeah.
It is either going to happen that week, as as all the rumors fly now, or they're just going to hold off all the way into July.
Yeah.
But at that point,
what's the point?
Just ages. Like, what are we doing, guys? So yeah, that's why I think this end of May one makes sense. So
yeah.
Alrighty. That'll do it for this week's episode of Platinum Explosion. Of course, let us know your thoughts on anything we've talked about at Comic Book, what you think is going to happen PlayStation Showcase, if you're excited, whatever else. Tweet at us, explosionnetwork.com/Discord, explosionnetwork.com/Twitter. I said that backwards, but that's fine. If you like the show and you want to support us, you can do it at explosionnetwork.com/support. Head on over to our Ko-fi page and buy us a coffee. And until next week, remember, every trophy counts.